Zoghban Salami becomes the new mayor of New York City and gets his way, and he actually puts city-run grocery stores in New York City, what would that look like? Let's do something that your average Zoghban Salami voter didn't do. Think about it. Unless the city of New York is going to be building new spaces for these grocery stores, they're going to have to rent existing spaces. Commercial leases traditionally are for a pretty long period of time, so if they go and sign these leases, it'll have to be for years perhaps, committing the city to large amounts of rent for a long term. So those stores would have to work, or the city, aka the taxpayers, going to lose a lot of money.
Okay, well, there's plenty of space to rent, so that shouldn't be a problem in this hypothetical you got going on. And since you're concerned about taxpayer dollars, let's do some math. The average taxpayer is forking up about $24,000 a year in New York. Times that to 8.2 million people, and you get a massive $198 billion in tax revenue a year. So how much are these grocery stores going to cost? Based on the average of NYC, it's about $75,000 a month to operate a grocery store. Times that by 5 stores, $375,000 a month. Times 12 months is $4.5 million a year. Guess how much this comes out to from that $198 billion? 0.00044%. That's what you're bitching about. Also, the microaggressions? Really? In your description, it says you're a, quote, Guido, which is a slur towards Italians. And I'd like to remind you, you guys didn't even get your white card till Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin made it cool. Chill out with the racism.
If people are going to be signing these contracts, that means that these city-run grocery stores, well, they're going to need a lot of employees. One of the reasons why grocery stores, which is a very low-margin business, actually succeed is because they have economies of scale, which means that the entire business of running a grocery store is efficiency and logistics. So in order to get a person that has that level of efficiency, that level of logistics, you're going to have employees that are familiar with running grocery store chains, that also know how to do these commercial leases and contracts. If the city-run grocery stores are basically going to be a not-for-profit, well, people that work for not-for-profits typically don't make a lot of money.
It's a grocer, you're not killing it anyway, but they'll probably be paid average, which isn't too shabby.
So how are you going to attract top talent to run and sign all these leases for all these grocery stores? Then let's pretend for a second that you actually get these leases and you have the space for these city-run grocery stores. Well, these city-run grocery stores are not going to open farms. They're going to have to buy these products from every other supplier that every other grocery store and bodega buys from as well. And if ABC Grocery Store and XYZ Grocery Store has been buying from all of these suppliers for all of these years, well, they have a relationship, they have minimums, they have products that they buy all the time consistently for many, many years, as well as economies of scale because they have multiple stores all over the country, all over the region. So let's say, for example, that the New York City run grocery stores buys, let's say, a box of Triscuits or a box of Cheez-Its. If every other grocery store in the city is buying that box of Cheez-Its for $3 and then selling it for $3.50, do you think that every single grocery store in the city that buys a box of Cheez-Its for $3 and has to sell it for $3.50 is going to be happy that the city-run grocery stores are buying it for $3 and selling it for $3? Because if it's a not-for-profit grocery store, then they're going to be less priced than all of the other grocery stores because that's where their very tiny amount of margin actually is. Has anybody ever considered that maybe those other suppliers would be like, yo, we're not going to buy from you if you guys just sell it to these guys at $3? We've had an existing relationship for a multitude of different years. We're not going to buy from you. Every single grocery store in the city is buying at $3, including the city-run grocery stores, only to have them undercut their price. Which essentially means you would be creating a subconscious alliance between every single person that buys that product versus the city-run grocery stores.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
And since these city-run grocery stores may or may not actually stand the test of time, do you really want to jeopardize your existing relationship with that vendor? Now multiply that across everything: bananas, peppers, apples, bread. Here's the other thing. A banana vendor is not required to sell bananas to whoever tries to buy it. They could say no.
It's not a thing. It's not a thing.
So what if the vendors just say to the city-run grocery stores, we're not going to sell you bananas? Because what if every other grocery store chain or whatever in the city says, we're not going to buy from you for $3 for a box of Cheez-Its if you're going to sell Cheez-Its to the city-run grocery stores and let them undercut all of our price? So do you want every existing vendor in the entire city that you've had for decades? Or Zoghban Salami's new pet project? That's definitely not going to work. And this is literally just one of a multitude of potential issues that will happen as a result of this completely insane, not real project that definitely won't work. Good luck, Zogbag Salami, and all the people that voted for him. You guys are absolutely tough.
Okay, so let me finish that. Your Russian nesting doll hypothetical is bullshit at best because the math isn't even working in your favor. And I would suggest laying off the drugs, because even your theory to how the hypothetical economics has no substantial backing behind it. You have no clue what you're talking about in the slightest sense. Also, I'm going to drop the nuke on this whole argument anyway, because you're talking about 5 grocery stores. Guess how many there are in NYC? A few hundred maybe? A couple thousand? Nope.